So the Pittsburgh Steelers have an ignored player, and this guy is just skyrocketing up this depth chart. And I guess I'll start out this video with a question. Which Pittsburgh Steelers player am I talking about? Which player is one of two players in the NFL with a 50-plus yard touchdown reception and a 70-plus yard punt return touchdown in the same season, and this is since 2019? Also, which player is 13th in the NFL last year with 15.2 yards per reception? Like myself at the outset, many of you are going to say that it's newly acquired DK Metcalf. Some of you might say, is it recently departed George Pickens? The answer is none of the above. It's the guy on this team that's being severely undersold, and the player that I'm talking about, you probably already figured this out. It's wide receiver Calvin Austin III. Now, this guy's being completely ignored by many. He was, I think, the number 4 wide receiver on this team coming into the season last year. But we need to not sleep on him here. We need to stop talking about trying to acquire a number 2 receiver. Jonnu Smith is in town to help with this. And I'm going to make an argument that Austin is straight up going to ball out this year. And this is after really a breakout year last year in 2024. And you're really not going to care about George Pickens anymore moving forward. So let's start with what Pittsburgh wide receiver coach Zach Azzanni had to say about Calvin Austin III. Everybody's downplaying, underplaying our group right now. I absolutely love it that way. I don't want anyone looking at us anyway. It'll be good. So I think that the 2 spot is all Calvin Austin's, and really him and DK are such different players. There's going to be plays where he is the one guy because that's his route and vice versa because they're so different in stature. And then you're looking at Austin, right? If you look at his career in a whole, the guy started his career off pretty slow, right? You've got him missing his entire rookie campaign in 2022. He had a foot injury, but now we're looking at the 26-year-old. He's gotten back on track over the last 2 seasons. Plenty of explosiveness left in his game, and Azzanni's bullish about what he brings to the table, and so should we. And this is also a guy with some incentive. He's entering a contract year. A little more from Mark Caboli. I think everyone overlooks number 19. That guy's a legit NFL receiver. He just gets separation all over the field. He'll bite your face off in the run game. I love that. Nothing affects this guy. A great leader. He can do a lot of things a 2 can do. So now we're looking at him as well. He's really developing a connection with new quarterback Aaron Rodgers. That should certainly help, right? Austin revealed some details of a recent practice with Aaron Rodgers that was hosted by Aaron Rodgers with a bunch of the Steelers receivers, and it sounds like some chemistry is definitely starting to take place between these 2 guys. And if you're talking about a vet quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, if he's talking up a receiver, and he's kind of famous for not talking up his receivers, you've really got to earn this guy's trust. I'm going to get to specifics in that in just a minute, but let's continue and do a player comparison from last year between between George Pickens and Calvin Austin III. And also, I think coaches and your new quarterback agree this is a player that's definitely going to make some noise this year for sure. So we're looking at this upcoming season, the Steelers, Calvin Austin. This is really a make or break year. And let's kind of look at a relatively young player in the league who's looking to take the next step, really looking to leave a mark with your Pittsburgh Steelers this year. So much belief in Calvin Austin, less than 3 weeks away from training camp. Well, it's actually closer than that. It's coming up just on the next week. And the Steelers still haven't added another wide receiver. This places Austin as the clear number 2 behind DK Metcalf, and it's just his skyrocketing up the depth chart that should have you really excited. This is not a liability. This is a player that's just legit. And let's kind of start by looking at a compare and contrast with former wide receiver George Pickens. In the 2024 NFL season, GP, he had 59 receptions for 900 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now remember that. 900 yards, only 3 touchdowns, and he had an average of 15.3 yards per reception. That's according to ESPN and PFF. You're looking at George Pickens being ranked 27th out of 98 wide receivers in overall grade. That's according to PFF as well. And also 29th in receiving yards and 58th in touchdowns. ranked 27th out of 98 wide receivers in overall grade, and he was also 29th in receiving yards and 58th in touchdowns on 59 receptions. He got quite a little bit of play. So let's look at a more detailed breakdown here. I'm going to compare these numbers a little closer. 59 receptions, that's tied for 54th in the league. 900 yards at 32nd in the league. I'm just going to toss out some numbers. His 3 touchdowns were 81st in the league. And then yards per reception, once again, 15.3. So let's look at Calvin Austin, a guy that got way less playing time. We're looking at him appearing in 17 games, but keep in mind, he only started in 8. This is a smaller sample size. We're looking at recording 36 receptions compared to George Pickens' 59 for 548 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 more touchdown. He also returned 28 punts as well, super versatile for 289 yards and touchdowns. So that's a little more total offense, right? Guys, this is a breakout. This is an ascending player. Let's continue to compare. 36 receptions for 548 yards. That's a 15.2 average and 4 touchdowns. A little bit better than George Pickens. Punt returns, we talked about that. But here, once again, the only player in the NFL with a touchdown reception of at least 50 yards and a punt return touchdown for 70 yards. We covered that. I think what tells it better than the numbers is if we get a little more game specific. Let's go back to week 8. He had a 73-yard punt return for a touchdown against the Giants. That week, he was named AFC Special Teams Player of the Week for that performance. And then also, he followed that up with a 55-yard touchdown reception against the Chargers. And then also, of course, that 73-yard punt return touchdown against the Giants. He's got a nose for the big play. Once again, this comparison is really, really favorable. With that limited playing time, he had a 63.8 overall grade. That's pretty good. 73rd out of 98 receivers. 548 yards, 62nd out of 98. Touchdowns, 4 yards per reception. And this is the nicest number here. He ranked 13th out of 98 wide receivers in yards per reception. Guys, this guy can absolutely take the lid off of defense, and it's a much deserved rise in the depth chart for our 26-year-old pass catcher coming off of 2024. When he's ascending, he recorded a career best 36 receptions for 548 yards and 4 touchdowns on limited playing time. There is a world where this is actually an improvement. If you take the locker room shenanigans into account, I think this is a year. It's a make or break year for Calvin Austin. I think we're going to be really happy watching the Steelers play and seeing what he has in store for you guys. We're looking at him quickly earning a reputation for being an absolute speed demon on the field. We're talking about multiple receptions of 30-plus yards in 2024. And it's really because the guy can beat one-on-one defenders because he has really quick feet. And heading into this huge season for the organization and himself, the Pittsburgh Steelers are all in with Aaron Rodgers joining the squad. And I want to get to how this chemistry is developing. And Austin spoke recently with Action News 5 in Memphis. That's where he's from. Look at the thumbnail. I wasn't playing a trick. That is Calvin Austin. He is from Memphis. And he talked to his hometown news channel here. And he really shared what the Steelers quarterback likes about his game in addition to his game-breaking speed. One of the first things Aaron Rodgers, says was about my speed. Obviously, that's my main thing. It's something that got me to the point I'm at today. But one of the other things he was talking about was me going over the middle to make those tough catches. He really liked how I'm willing to do that. And that was something I really worked on last year and wanted to show that I'm not just a straight down the field speed guy. And this recognition from Rodgers, this growing chemistry with him, this could be absolutely pivotal for this offense. And he's got a lot to prove. Opportunities there, potentials there, and becoming a guy that Rodgers can count on early in training camp. Watch for that in training camp. Watch how much Aaron Rodgers goes his direction in training camp. Watch if he makes tough catches in traffic. Watch if he's taking the lid off. If he develops Aaron Rodgers' trust in training camp, that's absolutely essential because Aaron Rodgers is known for not really spreading the ball around if he doesn't trust his wide receivers. That's why it was really rumored that Allen Lazard was going to join the team. I think Allen Lazard and his $14 million can go play for the Jets. I don't want him over here. And also, there's a history with Aaron Rodgers kind of taking over the GM position for teams that he's on. Now, like, just to ask the Jets, that was part of what blew him out of Green Bay, him wanting too much control. Even if Lazard is beneficial, I kind of don't want to let Aaron Rodgers get Allen Lazard and kind of embolden him to kind of take over that GM role or at least cause friction there. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents on that. I'm not saying that would happen, but I think that's definitely a caution. So here's a little more about him being a guy that Rodgers can count on. The biggest moments is a goal for the young receiver to be able to deliver for your new quarterback. Tough third downs across the middle. I'm the guy that can make those catches and show up in those big crucial moments. That's where you earn your stripes. That's where you earn the respect of your quarterback, the team, and the coaches. So you're looking at your Pittsburgh Steelers counting on Rodgers, counting on the receiving core combining for something special this season, right? The Steelers have made it very clear that they're all in. I would expect a contract for TJ Watt very, very soon. They're not going to let him hang, even if it's right up against it until the season starts. I think that deal definitely gets done. I'm tempted to do some Steelers are trading TJ Watt stories just to get some clicks to grow this channel. I refuse to do that unless it's like indisputable that that's actually happening. Let's not chase shadows here. Let's just report on real things. And there's going to be plenty of stuff to go through until training camp starts and after. You guys have been awesome. I'm an outsider here. I'm giving you an outsider's view, an impartial view on your Pittsburgh Steelers, and I hope it's really refreshing. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Would love to have you. Let's grow this together, and I'll continue to be here with Pittsburgh Steelers news on the daily. See ya.